Picture this. You're standing at a crossroads in your life, where every choice you've made so far feels like it's tethered to someone else's approval. You've been chasing, waiting, hoping for a sign that you're enough. But what if the key to unlocking your true strength isn't in what you say or do, but in what you choose not to do? Welcome to ZENLIGHT, where we dive deep into the Stoic wisdom and self-improvement strategies that transform pain into power. Today, we're unraveling the art of silence, not the empty kind, but the kind that shakes the ground beneath those who thought you'd never walk away. Stick around to the end, because I'm sharing practical steps you can apply today to reclaim your peace, rebuild your life, and become the man you were always meant to be. Hit that subscribe button, join the ZENLIGHT 8 community, and let's start this journey together. There's a moment in every man's life when the weight of the world feels like it's pressing down on his chest. It's not just the heartbreak, the rejection, or the sting of being left behind. It's the quiet torment of believing you're not enough without her. You've been there, haven't you? Scrolling through her social media at 2 a.m., replaying old conversations, wondering where it all went wrong. You thought your loyalty, your patience, your endless emotional investment would be the glue that held it together. But here's the truth, the kind of truth the Stoics like Marcus Aurelius would carve into their souls. Your power doesn't come from holding on. It comes from letting go. Not with anger, not with resentment, but with a calm, deliberate silence that says, I am enough. Welcome to ZENLIGHT, where we're not just talking about moving on, we're talking about moving up. This isn't about revenge or proving a point. It's about rediscovering the man you were before you gave your peace away, and becoming someone even stronger. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a guy named Tom, a 32-year-old from Chicago, who spent 2 years orbiting a woman who walked away without a backward glance. He checked her Instagram daily, hoping for a story that might hint she still cared. He stayed up late, analyzing texts that were months old, convincing himself that if he could just understand her silence, he could fix it. Sound familiar? Tom was giving away his emotional currency, spending his energy on someone who'd already cashed out. But one day, something clicked. He read a line from Seneca, the Stoic philosopher. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That was Tom's wake-up call. He stopped checking her profile. He stopped waiting for a message that would never come. He didn't send a dramatic goodbye or post a cryptic quote to get her attention. He just went quiet, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. That silence wasn't empty, it was full of purpose. It was Tom reclaiming the mental real estate he'd rented out for free. He started small. He hit the gym, not to impress anyone, but to feel strong again. He picked up a journal, writing down his goals instead of her name. He reconnected with friends he'd neglected, laughed over beers, and remembered what it felt like to live for himself. And here's the thing, the world noticed. Not just her, but everyone. His co-workers saw a new focus in his eyes. His friends felt a grounded energy they hadn't seen in years. Even strangers picked up on it. There's something magnetic about a man who stopped chasing validation. The Stoics teach us that true freedom comes from mastering what's within our control. You can't control her choices, her feelings, or whether she ever looks back. But you can control where you direct your energy. Silence in this sense isn't passive. It's a deliberate act of power. It's saying, my peace is non-negotiable. It's choosing to invest in your own growth, your career, your health, your mind, over someone who's already checked out. And when you make that choice, something shifts, not just in you, but in the way the world sees you. Let's make this practical. If you're watching this and you're still caught in that cycle of checking, hoping, waiting, here's what you can do today. First, set a 30-day challenge. No checking her social media, no rereading old texts, no subtle moves to get her attention. Use that time to redirect your focus. Start with one thing. Maybe it's running a mile every morning, signing up for a course to level up your career, or even meditating for 5 minutes to clear your mind. Track your progress in a journal. Write down one goal each day and how it makes you feel to work toward it. By day 30, you won't just feel different, you'll be different. you'll have taken the first steps toward what the Stoics call eudaimonia, a life of flourishing, rooted in your own purpose. Here's a real-world example. A friend of mine, Jake, went through a brutal breakup last year. He was shattered, but he decided to apply the Stoic principle of focusing on what he could control. Instead of texting his ex, he started a side hustle, pouring his energy into a small woodworking business he'd always dreamed of. 6 months later, he wasn't just making extra cash, he was a new man. His confidence wasn't tied to her anymore. It came from the calluses on his hands and the orders piling up. When his ex reached out, curious about his new life, he didn't feel the old pull. He was too busy building something better. That's the power of silence. It's not about making her regret. It's about making yourself unbreakable. This is just the beginning. When you stop chasing someone else's approval, you start chasing your own potential. And that shift, it's not just personal, it's seismic. It changes how you move through the world, how you see yourself, and yes, how others see you too. So, if you're ready to take back your power, keep watching. We're about to dive into the emotional journey that turns pain into purpose, and I promise you, it's a ride worth taking. You've made it this far, and that tells me something. You're not here to stay stuck. You're here because you've felt the weight of heartbreak, the sting of being left behind, and you're ready to turn that pain into something greater. Let's talk about the emotional journey from suffering to liberation, because this is where the real transformation begins. It's not about forgetting her or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about walking through the fire and coming out the other side as a man who's not just surviving but thriving. This is the Stoic path to freedom, and it starts with understanding one thing: your pain is not your prison, it's your teacher. Imagine you're carrying a 50-pound backpack everywhere you go. It's heavy, it's exhausting, and it's slowing you down. That backpack is her absence, her silence, the questions you can't answer. Why did she leave? Could I have done more? Will she ever come back? Every time you check her social media, every time you replay that last conversation, you're adding another pound to that load. But here's the Stoic truth, straight from Epictetus. You are not disturbed by things, but by the view you take of them. The pain isn't in her leaving. It's in the story you're telling yourself about it. Liberation begins when you decide to set that backpack down, not because you found closure, but because you've chosen to stop carrying what no longer serves you. Let's go back to Tom, our guy from Chicago. When he stopped checking his ex's Instagram, it wasn't just about cutting off contact. It was about cutting off the emotional leash he'd tied himself to. At first it hurt like hell. The silence felt like a void, not a victory. He'd wake up in the middle of the night, tempted to send a text, to get some kind of reaction, anything to feel like he still mattered to her. But then he started asking himself a different question. Why am I letting someone who walked away define my worth? That question was his turning point. He began to see his pain as a signal, not a sentence. It was telling him to redirect his energy, to rebuild, to become a man who didn't need her validation to stand tall. This journey isn't linear. It's not like you wake up one day and the pain is gone. It's messy, it's raw, and it's human. The Stoics understood this. They didn't pretend life was free of suffering. They taught us how to use it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your heartbreak, your rejection, your sleepless nights, they're not just obstacles. They're the raw material for your growth. Every time you choose not to text her, every time you resist the urge to check her story, you're building a muscle. It's the muscle of self-discipline, of self-respect, of knowing that your value isn't tied to someone else's choices. Here's how you can start this journey today. Take a piece of paper and write down one thing you've been holding on to. Maybe it's a memory, a regret, or a question you'll never get an answer to. Now write down one thing you can do for yourself instead. Maybe it's signing up for a 5K run to get your blood pumping. Maybe it's reading a book on Stoicism, like Meditations, to ground your mind. Or maybe it's calling a friend you haven't talked to in months, just to reconnect. The point is to replace the energy you've been giving to her with energy you give to yourself. Do this every day for a week, and you'll start to feel the shift. It's not about erasing the pain. It's about transforming it into purpose. I've seen this work in real life. A buddy of mine, Mike, went through a divorce that left him feeling like he'd lost everything. He was 40, living in a small apartment in Denver, wondering if he'd ever feel whole again. But instead of chasing his ex's approval, he started small. He bought a cheap set of weights and worked out in his living room. He listened to Stoic podcasts on his commute, letting ideas about resilience sink in. He even started volunteering at a local shelter, not to look good, but to feel connected to something bigger. 6 months later, Mike wasn't just in better shape, he was a different man. His ex sent him a text, curious about his new life, but he didn't need her words to feel complete. He'd already found his peace. That's what liberation looks like. It's not about her coming back or regretting her choices. It's about you no longer needing her to feel like you're enough. The Stoics call this the art of indifference, not coldness, but a calm acceptance that you can't control others, only yourself. When you embrace that, you stop orbiting her world and start building your own. You start waking up with a sense of purpose, not a sense of lack. And that shift? It's not just felt by you, it ripples out. People notice. They see the way you carry yourself, the way you're no longer pulled off balance by someone else's silence. So if you're ready to turn your pain into power, keep watching. We're about to dive into the psychology of why silence is your greatest weapon, and trust me, it's a game changer you don't want to miss. Now that you're starting to see how letting go can set you free, let's talk about why silence, real, purposeful silence, is your most powerful tool. This isn't about playing games or trying to manipulate someone into noticing you. It's about understanding the psychology behind why stepping back, reclaiming your energy, and focusing on yourself can shift not just your reality, but the way the world perceives you. The Stoics knew this centuries ago, and modern psychology backs it up. When you stop reacting, you start rewriting the script. You become the author of your own story, and that's where true strength lies. Welcome back to ZENLIGHT, where we're breaking down the science and soul of becoming unstoppable. Think about this. Every time you chase someone's attention, whether it's a text, a like, or even a glance, you're giving them a piece of your emotional power. You're saying, my peace depends on your response. But when you go silent, not out of anger, but out of clarity, you take that power back. It's like unplugging a cord that's been draining your energy for months, maybe years. Psychologists call this reactance theory. When someone feels their control slipping, they start to question their assumptions. She thought you'd always be there waiting in the wings, ready to jump when she called. But when you stop showing up, when you stop feeding that dynamic, you create a vacuum. And the human brain hates a vacuum. It demands answers. Let's go back to our friend Tom from Chicago. When he stopped checking his ex's social media, he wasn't just saving himself time. He was breaking a psychological pattern. She'd grown used to his attention, even if she didn't admit it. A quick like on her story, a subtle check-in, a lingering presence in her notifications. It was all background noise to her, something she took for granted. But when Tom went silent, that noise stopped. Suddenly, she noticed. Not because he was loud about it, but because he wasn't. Her brain started asking questions. Where did he go? Why isn't he reacting? Did I misjudge him? That's the power of silence. It forces others to confront their own assumptions without you saying a word. The Stoics understood this intuitively. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." But this isn't just about talking less. It's about reacting less. It's about refusing to let someone else's actions dictate your emotions. Modern research supports this. A 2023 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who practice emotional restraint in high-conflict situations, like a breakup, report higher levels of self-esteem and life satisfaction over time. Why? Because they're not giving away their emotional currency to someone who doesn't value it. They're investing it in themselves instead. Here's how you can apply this today. Start by identifying one trigger that pulls you back into that old cycle. Maybe it's seeing her name pop up on your phone, or passing by a place that reminds you of her. When that trigger hits, pause. Take 3 deep breaths and ask yourself, what would a man who respects himself do right now? Maybe it's putting your phone down and going for a 10-minute walk. Maybe it's opening a book or hitting the gym. The point is to interrupt the pattern and replace it with something that builds you up. Over time, those moments of silence stack up. They become a habit, and that habit becomes a new way of living. Let me tell you about Sarah, a woman I know who went through something similar from the other side. She left her boyfriend, thinking he'd always be there, waiting for her to change her mind. But when he stopped reaching out, stopped liking her posts, stopped showing up in her orbit, she felt it. Not love, not regret, but a strange unease. She'd assumed he'd stay stuck, but he was out there, running marathons, landing a promotion, living a life she no longer had access to. It wasn't that she wanted him back. It was that she realized she'd underestimated him. His silence wasn't loud or dramatic. It was calm, confident, final. And that's what shook her. This isn't about making her feel bad. It's about making yourself feel whole. The Stoics teach us to focus on what's in our control, our thoughts, our actions, our reactions. When you master that, you stop living for someone else's approval and start living for your own purpose. That's when the world starts to see you differently. Your silence becomes a statement, not of absence, but of presence. It says, I'm here, I'm enough, and I'm moving forward. So if you're ready to harness that power, stick with me. We're about to break down the practical steps to make silence your superpower, and trust me, you'll want to take notes. You're still here, and that means you're ready to take action. Not the kind of action that chases someone else's approval, but the kind that builds a life you're proud of. Silence isn't just a mindset, it's a practice, a discipline, a choice you make every day to prioritize your peace over someone else's chaos. The Stoics didn't just talk about resilience, they lived it, step by step, through deliberate actions. And today, on ZENLIGHT 8, I'm giving you a roadmap to turn your silence into strength, to transform your pain into a foundation for something extraordinary. These aren't just ideas. They're practical, real-world steps you can start right now to reclaim your power and become the man you were meant to be. Let's start with the first step. Cut the digital cord. If you're still checking her Instagram, her ex profile, or those old text threads, you're not just wasting time. You're giving away your emotional energy. Studies show that excessive social media use, especially when it's tied to past relationships, can increase anxiety and delay emotional healing by up to 40%. So, here's what you do. Commit to a 30-day detox. Delete her from your social media, not to be petty, but to protect your peace. If that feels too final, mute her posts or archive your chats. Then, replace that habit with something new. Download an app like Headspace and try a 5-minute meditation each morning, or set a goal to run 3 miles a week. The point is to redirect that energy into something that makes you stronger, not smaller. Step 2, redefine your space. Your environment shapes your mind more than you realize. If your apartment is full of reminders, her old sweater, a photo on your fridge, even a playlist you made together, it's time to clear it out. This isn't about erasing the past. It's about making room for your future. Box up those mementos and store them out of sight. Then invest in your space. Buy a plant, hang a piece of art, or even rearrange your furniture. Make your home a reflection of the man you're becoming. When I went through my own reset, I turned my spare room into a small gym. Nothing fancy, just a pull-up bar and some weights. Every time I walked in there, I felt like I was stepping into my new life. Step 3, build a purpose-driven routine. The Stoics believed that a life without purpose is a life without meaning. So, create a daily ritual that grounds you. Start with something simple. Every morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for and 1 goal for the day. It could be as small as drink 64 ounces of water, or as big as apply for that promotion. Then, end your day by reflecting. What did you do today that made you proud? This isn't just a feel-good exercise. Research from Harvard shows that gratitude practices can boost your mental resilience by 25%. Over time, this routine rewires your brain to focus on what you can control, not what you've lost. Step 4. Connect with your tribe. Isolation is the enemy of growth. You don't have to do this alone, and you shouldn't. Reach out to a friend, a brother, a mentor, someone who lifts you up. Schedule a coffee meetup, join a local group, or even volunteer. When my friend Jake started his woodworking side hustle, he didn't just find a new passion. He found a community of makers who pushed him to keep going. That connection reminded him he wasn't defined by his breakup, but by the life he was building. Finally, step 5. Embrace discomfort. The Stoics called this amor fati, love of fate. That means leaning into the hard moments, the cravings, to reach out the nights when the loneliness hits like a freight train. Instead of fighting those feelings, sit with them. Journal about them. Ask yourself, what is this pain teaching me? When you do this, you turn discomfort into growth. You learn that you're stronger than you thought, that you can handle the tough days without falling apart. These steps aren't a quick fix, they're a commitment. But here's the payoff. Every time you choose silence over chasing, purpose over pain, you're building a version of yourself that's untouchable. You're not just moving on, you're moving forward, with clarity, with strength, with a fire that no one can extinguish. So, if you're ready to see how this transformation changes not just you, but the world around you, keep watching. We're about to explore what happens when she starts to notice, and trust me, it's a shift you won't want to miss. You've made it to the end, and that alone makes you unstoppable. You're not just watching a video, you're taking the first steps toward a life where your peace, your purpose, and your power are non-negotiable. This journey we've been on together isn't about erasing the past or proving someone wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you are enough, that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's choices. The Stoics taught us that true freedom comes from mastering what's within our control, our thoughts, our actions, our silence. And when you embrace that, you don't just change your life, you change the way the world sees you. Let's bring this home with a story. A year ago, I met a guy named Chris at a Stoicism workshop in Austin. He was 35, recently single, and felt like his world had crumbled. He'd spent months chasing closure, sending texts that went unanswered, hoping for a sign that he still mattered. But during that workshop, he heard a quote from Marcus Aurelius. "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That hit him like a lightning bolt. He went home, deleted his ex's number, and started small: a morning walk, a gratitude journal, a commitment to show up for himself. Today, Chris runs a mentorship program for young men, teaching them the same principles he learned. He's not just surviving, he's thriving, living a life he never thought possible. And the best part, he didn't need her approval to get there. Here's my challenge to you right now in 2025. Make a commitment to yourself. Start with one step from this video. Maybe it's the 30-day social media detox. Maybe it's writing down your goals. Maybe it's reaching out to a friend. Whatever it is, do it today. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment is now. The Stoics believed that every day is a chance to practice virtue, to live with purpose, to be the best version of yourself. So, take that chance. Build a life that makes you proud, not because someone else sees it, but because you do. And here's how you can make this bigger than just you. If this video hit you deep, if it reminded you of your own strength, I need you to do 3 things for the ZENLIGHT 8 community. First, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're building a movement of men who choose growth over pain, and we need you with us. Second, share this video with one person who needs to hear it. Maybe it's a friend going through a breakup, or a brother who's lost his way. Your share could be the spark that changes their life. And third, drop Unstoppable in the comments below, along with one thing you're going to do today to take back your power. Let's flood this comment section with stories of men rising, rebuilding, and refusing to stay stuck. This isn't just content, it's a call to action. It's a reminder that you're not broken, you're just getting started. At ZENLIGHT 8, we're here to walk this path with you, to share the wisdom of Stoicism and self-improvement that turns pain into purpose. So, let's keep building, keep growing, and keep showing the world what it means to be truly unstoppable. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, stay strong, stay focused, and stay true to yourself.